Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with the last seat number 24 with my co-host All Dolled Up, who unfortunately has a very bad connection, so she might just be in the background today. And then Sam from Chaos on the Chains, who is a new father. Congratulations, and appreciate you making the time for this because apparently the first like 6 months after childbirth, you just don't get sleep. So super appreciate
Amen.
this.
Thank you for having me, bro. It's my pleasure. And yeah, 100%. I mean, definitely lacking sleep, so definitely not going to nod off here. But you know how it is.
I don't have kids, so I don't know how
Fair enough.
I do have a question for any of the characters that you have on the Chaos Launch, and we'll get into that. But have you personally made any onesies for your child? Any little blankets or any little things with the characters on them?
That is an amazing. That's a sick idea. I think I'm going to be onto that. I'm definitely going to work on that. Definitely want to get one of, if not my son into the game, vice versa, a onesie for him.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. I've seen people have like these 3 Pokemon starters, the Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, and let their kids like kind of crawl to whichever one they want. And I was like, oh, that's a super smart idea. Which starter do they pick? Thought that was really fun. Anyway,
I'm gonna actually try that. I'm gonna try that because I've got all 3 of them as well, just sat in my living room. So once, because he's only a month old, so definitely gonna give that a go. I'm not sure if my wife is gonna be too happy with that, but still, I mean, it has to be done.
Of course. So tell me about tell me about Sam. Tell me about the origins of as you got into blockchain and tech. It doesn't even have to be blockchain. It could be when you just got into technology in general and what led you to it.
So broadly speaking, technology, it started around 2013. So I set up my own telecoms company. And so what we do there essentially is everything OTP messages. So anything that Google sends, Facebook sends, and other platforms, we handle those to specific countries and so forth. And so that's where it really I got started with a technological company per se. But if you want to go all the way back, I mean, at the age of 8, I had my first computer. We're talking about the Microsoft 95, if you remember them, Randy, back in the day. Yeah, did a website, tried to do a website as well for what movie was it? It was it's completely left me, but did a little website and loved technology from there. Got into gaming, had my first PlayStation or Sega Master System, I should say, before the PlayStation, and then the Sega Mega Drive, and then the first Nintendo Game Boy. And just started playing games from there. Fell in love with strategy games. I'm talking about the likes of Age of Empires and so forth. And then just moved on from game to game and just loved games ever since. Strategy games per se, like the RPGs as well. But then I felt the RPG games were always alike. They never differed. Characters would change, but then that was pretty much it. And then from there, went through my life, started my own telecoms company, and then from that, around 2020, set up my gaming company, where we make games and so forth. And we were working on a VR world back in 2020, but then realized this isn't something that I'd play. It's a trend, however, it's not something that I feel I would play personally. So I halted that automatically, and I was like, on to the next one. I want to build something that I'd play, something that I'd enjoy. I don't want it to be the same repetitive game style that exists out there. I wanted it to be new, something addictive, something that had the E factor to it, as in i.e. entertainment, and something that you can really enjoy. Something chaotic in its storyline as well, to allow you to move left, right, and center with the narrative, or shift the narrative without it obscuring the game per se, if you get my drift.
So just to get to the idea of this game, it's kind of like a Final Fantasy where you get to move around wherever, but then when you get in the battle, it's an RPG.
So it's an open world, mobile
Okay.
open world. All right, it's based on the real world, so there's a GPS aspect to it. And what that means is, if you want to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, if you look at uh, Pokemon Go, for example, Pokemon Go is based on the real world map, right?
Yes. Correct.
However, Pokemon Go is it's heavily dependent on where you move around. So you have to actually move physically in order for you to interact with the game further. This is different. GPS is just an aspect of it. However, in the game, we've taken the whole entire world and stuck it as the law, right? So within the law, at the same time, you've got a button which you click on. It shows you where you are on your GPS location. And then once you remove your finger, you no longer see the actual GPS mapping. You just see the law that you're in. In the game itself, you start off with your base. Okay, you build your first building for the base and so forth, and then that allows you to interact with others as well. So you start moving around with your RPG mode. So you pick one of the characters that you have. They're in the form of a card. Once you click on one of the cards, the player comes to life. You now control that player, and then you can just literally wander around the world. You could, if you have a jetpack, you can fly off to India. If you have a friend within the game that's based somewhere in Delhi, you can to Delhi as well, to exact location with the law, which in a way, if he's playing from home and he hasn't moved away, as in controlling the RPG, you can see where his base is and so forth. So it encompasses a couple of things. It encompasses strategy. It also has the MMORPG aspect, so allowing you to freely move around and do whatever you want. At the same time, it's an open world. So there isn't loading from one section to another section.
Okay.
Finally, if you're walking from, let's just say you decide to move around, you're actually walking outside, you're going to the supermarket, for example, you'll get a pop-up notification, say, yo, you've just passed this territory. Do you want to do anything? Do you want to leave any little prezzies around, or your enemy or your ally, and so forth. So that's the main functionalities of the game. Then we get into the narrative of the game. And so this is a different layer altogether. Bearing in mind, from the get-go, we want to build the perfect chaotic narrative. Something that if you look at it and you start playing, you don't get bored with the actual game loop. It changes. Something close to real life, Randy, if you get my drift. Life isn't just straightforward, right? So the second layer is the narrative, the storyline. So the storyline is celestial changes take place because of a global incident of meteoroids impacting Earth. This opening up different realms from different ages. So we're talking about, let's just say, historical realms, futuristic realms, and really impacting how life is per se. You can go from when you're controlling RPG in RPG mode, you're controlling one of your heroes. The realms open in front of you. You go in, you choose to go into a realm. You can. That takes you to another world. From there, you can win a hero from there as well. Winning a hero that will obviously give you more advantage in your main base. I didn't mention this from the beginning. I should have. When you start the game, you start in your exact GPS location. So it gives that act of or the feel of you trying to take over your area per se, trying to conquer your city and other cities as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So there's a bunch of questions I have. One of which is, do you know Next Gen?
Next gen, no.
Okay, I have no idea why they're asking to be brought up then, because I was like, oh, maybe like they're like they're in the alpha or the beta, and then you had some like gameplay footage, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe, but then I was like, okay, disregard.
No idea.
Okay. Anywho,
Who are you, Next gen?
Yeah, who are you? I honestly, it might just be a bot, to be honest.
Okay, cool.
It happens every now and then. On the, so you mentioned building. Is it going to be one of those like on Earth2. Have you ever looked into Earth2?
I have seen Earth2. Did I mean I saw it when it first? I think this is a couple of years back. So this is when
Yeah,
the whole metaverse trend started. And I think where I left it at, and it's probably my fault, but they were selling parts of land, and that was it. And I saw a couple like that as well at that time. So I was like, okay, it's just another one of those selling plots of lands.
Yeah, so it was the first one that ever kind of did something like this. And if you got like, I got in December, so every tile, every piece of land started at like 10 cents. And but I got there, it started in November of 2020. I got in December 2020. And by that time, tiles in America were like over $1. So I focused most of my stuff on stuff outside of America, places in Russia, Brazil, India, China, you know, like kind of the BRICS nations. And I should have just kept going and buying American land at like $1.25, $1.50, because it's like $60.
Wow.
But
Wowza.
basically anyone that was able to put in even just like a couple grand made a fudge ton of money. Is that going to be similar here, where you have anyone that comes in and starts playing super early is just going to have a huge advantage later on in the game?
But let me be frank with you, straight as in, yeah? We didn't build this game for the blockchain world. We didn't start building for the blockchain world, right? And I despised the narratives, the similar narratives you always hear, and always trying to pull people early, and at the end, the game doesn't make sense at the end. We're building this game for the entertainment factor, and it's always been that way. Where blockchain comes in is where it makes sense. It's the heroes, enabling you to be able to either sell your hero, to buy a hero, to trade or lease a hero, all right, and so forth. For us, we didn't want to go down that same blockchain narrative where, in all honesty, it makes sense in some areas, but then in other areas with all those people pulling rugs and so forth, we don't want to be part of that. We don't want to be named a blockchain game. Yes, we use blockchain technology. Yes, we have our own token. Yes, our heroes are NFTs, but it stops there. Beyond that, we're trying to stay away or avoid all of the other BS, pretty much. Because as I said, from the get-go, from the very beginning, when we started building for the entertainment factor. If I wanted to go, as a gaming studio, we wanted to go down that narrative, we would have finished building off our virtual reality world, named Ubu. And just to give you an idea, Ubu was being built in 2020, and we had a working game by 2021. So we had architects come in, actually draw assets, the roads, how it would be set, and so forth. And if we wanted to do that, we could have. But that's not the goal. The goal is to build something that's entertaining. It would have done well in the blockchain arena, but beyond that, that was it. It would have been a trend for sure, 100%, because at that time, no one actually started building. They were just selling land. And for us, that wasn't the case. So to answer your question shortly, no. Where you would benefit in the game if you were to join early is you'll be able to see season by season and progress and collect more heroes and so forth and enjoy the game for what it is. So yeah, think of it as you either started playing Fortnite 10 years ago or you just turned on your laptop PC or PlayStation or whatever console you use and started playing Fortnite yesterday. Makes sense on both ways. It's entertaining whether it was 10 years ago or yesterday. So yeah.
I understand. So there is going to be a little bit of and obviously I don't know if you could say this, but you're offering things that are going to be limited, they'll be scarce, to be on the blockchain. You'll have a crypto there, and obviously it's going to be a utility crypto because you're going to be able to use it inside. But with that, I'm trying to think of how to ask this in a way that you could answer. How many things might you be able to put in money for that would retain value, whether it be the characters, whether it be the token, whether it be the
The hero
NFTs,
aspect.
items?
The hero aspect for sure. So the heroes. So what we're talking about is what do we say heroes here? We're talking about anything from the characters, cities. So and it's not an NFT, it's an actual character that you control. So you can have a B2 bomber, all right, because you're based in America. But then I started my game somewhere in, let's just say, Latvia, for example. All right, I couldn't get my hands on a B2 bomber, but I've got a character that you don't have. We can switch, or you can sell me yours, or vice versa.
Could we rent?
Yes, you can lease.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. So that was one of the first things I mentioned. It's leasing. So you can sell, buy, or lease. And the reason why we brought lease into the fact is because for me, for example, I find it so difficult to sell something. So for me to have a hero and try to sell that hero off, it's just like saying, look, cut your hand off and give it to me. So do you know what I mean? So that's why we have leasing in the game.
Can I tell you a story?
Go on.
In like the year 2000, me and my friend Justin was having a hard time beating, I think, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, whatever it was. And I had like my yellow version with me. And in the original Pokemon anime, Ash gives Pikachu to Misty for that doll tournament, so she can compete for the dolls. Like, okay, listen to Misty, and he does, and it's fine, it's cool. So I was like, yeah, I'll trade you my Venusaur, and I'll trade you my Pikachu. Venusaur goes over no problem. And then I give him my Pikachu, and when I go to trade the Pikachu makes this sound like cha, like it was being tortured. I was like, oh my god, like that sounds awful. And then once he gives him back to me, it never followed me again. And I was like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. So I understand leasing, because it is a better alternative to selling, even if the owner would like sell it back to you, because then I don't know, I just have like PTSD from that story from 24 years ago.
Trauma in itself. I mean, yeah. I think it's the psychological aspect. When you first win the character, right? You're like, yes, this is my hero. And then you go off and sell it off, and you're like, what's the value I stick against it? And will I ever get the same character? And should I really do it? So that's why leasing is there.
That makes sense. Is there going to be, and as there, I think there should be, because anything like from NFTs on VeVe to NFTs on OpenSea, like you have these sales tax, even on cryptos, you have sales tax for some of them. The fees, if I'm gonna go and let's say I mint something and it's cool, but let's say I want to sell it, how much of a fee is that goes back to the game, that goes back to you? Like, is there an 8% fee, 4%, 2%, anything in between?
So we've played around the whole percentage fee aspect. We haven't set that in stone yet. We don't want it to be, if we were to go down that direction, we don't want it to be a massive fee. And I'll tell you why. It's because we're not heavily dependent on the selling of, if you sell your heroes to someone else or lease them. We have our own store. So there's customization aspects. You have to bear in mind that you're taking over your city. So you want flags. You want to design your land, or you want to design your area the way that you want to design it. So as a company, we're focused on that world. In terms of the fees of NFTs and switching over or swapping or leasing or buying or selling, we thought we could do that. We have it there in our minds, but we're not sure what the percentage would be if we were to. And it's not our main driver.
Okay, so
because again,
how would you guys? Sorry, go ahead.
You're going to ask me how we make money?
Yes.
So the whole market, we have a marketplace. So the marketplace of new assets will provide you, Randy, if you've taken over, let's just say, your postcode or your zip code, right? You have your army, you have your heroes, you have your buildings that you've stuck in, right? You'd want to design it the way that you want to design it. You'd want to stick in flags with a specific design or a design that you'd like. This is something that you'll buy from us. So think PUBG and the marketplace. The way that PUBG makes its money is how we're aiming to make our money.
Okay. On the aspect of that, is there anything that, let's say if the designs in your place are cool, but let's say you have this kid or any artist that says like, hey, I want to create my own for a fee, can they create their own?
So that's
In
in the pipeline. Yeah, it's in the pipeline for sure.
and then,
And the reason why, sorry, go on.
okay, if they create their own and they're able to import it in, and obviously they're going to want that for themselves at first, but if it gets really popular, someone's like, this is really cool, for a fee, could they list on your marketplace and then have other people buy it?
And that would make complete and absolute sense, but I think we're still early on from rolling that out. So, but definitely 100%, it makes sense. It's the branch to the tree kind of thing, right? So definitely makes sense. Definitely something that will roll out. But I'm gonna have to be honest, it's not gonna be for the first season.
Yeah.
The first season is going to be mainly the main functionalities along with the marketplace. The marketplace in itself might hit second season. The first season is really for everyone to get used to the game and understand the game and understand the narrative and fall in love with it. Later on, we start feeding into the branches or the rabbit hole kind of thing, and then move from there. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
So on the side of being able to pay for this, like if I, like, could I pay with a credit card? Can I link up a
100%.
Coinbase wallet? How do I go in and put money in?
So from day zero, so let's talk about what's coming up. With our TG and everything like that, we're going through the legality aspect. And that's remember when we first spoke, and I told you that I'm working on the patency aspect of the game and making sure all the legal aspects, all the avenues are covered. That's because we're building for the future and building for the long run. So we've got the patent pending functionalities within the game to cover our backs and at the same time ensure that we have competitive advantage. Number two, in terms of the TGE and so forth, there's a KYC. Beyond the KYC as well, there's an AML that everyone has to follow through to ensure that we're above board. And then from that opens the doors to when we go onto the applications and so forth, and they're like, okay, cool, we need a ramp on, a ramp off. That then allows us to allow players to use credit cards or cards to purchase, whether it being the token or purchase the asset in itself, the hero or XYZ, whatever the person wants to purchase via, whether it's a credit card with a dollar-nominated credit card, or straight converting it to the token, and from there converting that to the asset that they want to purchase.
Is there, and obviously you've already done this, so this is fine, but for AML, that's really like for cash out, right? So people can like sell whatever they have and then cash out to fiat. Would it make sense to say like, well, you can cash out, but maybe you could only cash out in the chaos on the chain's token, and this way skip the need for the KYC stuff?
That's when I was talking to the lawyers and so forth, that was my logic, right?
Yeah.
But the law doesn't work like that. And then when you move away from national law to international law, it gets more complex. So you need to side yourself as safe as possible. So even purchasing a token, so just switching your fiat to a token, although bear in mind that you're purchasing via credit card you already have and you've already passed the KYC, okay, you need to go through a KYC. And because the law and the legal aspect is changing so much dramatically, especially in the last year with crypto and the international world, we needed to make sure that we're in a position where it's safe for us to sit in and not have any blocks down the road where they say to us, let's just say exchanges, have you got your KYC and AMLs for the TGEs you've done? And we're like, no, we don't. And then they'll be like, sorry, guys. And that's not something that I want to turn around after a year and a half or a year and say to everyone, the community, guys, we're so. No, that's not how it's going to be done. It has to be well thought of, which we did, structured, and ensuring that we're following the laws of the land, whether it's the US, whether it's the UK, Nigeria, Australia, and so forth. Now, luckily enough, the entire world or most of the world follows suit with the US. So we have our backs covered in terms of we find out what the US wants, we establish a basis for it and move forward.
Makes sense. Talking about the chaos on the chains crypto, we're building on Base, and Base seems to be a really good place to build. They seem to really want to take care of their own. They have Jesse.base.eth and a bunch of other people. They're really they promote like the legit good projects on there. I mean, they promote meme coins too, because I feel like there's not that outside of VeVe and Akomi. I honestly could not name 5 other companies outside of yours that are really like building legit things and aren't just like a meme coin. When can we expect to see a launch of the token?
A launch of a token won't happen until the beta version comes out, and I've always stuck by that, and I always will.
When's the beta version coming out?
That's a very good question. So today I had, so you're the first to hear this. Today I was actually playing around with the game. And I had the APK. What we're working on right now is the visual aspect, right? So we're changing around the colors of the terrain a bit. We're changing the sizes of the NPBs, the non-player buildings, and the trees. And that's for it to fit the narrative even more. I won't kick out the beta version, although most of the people team are saying, come on, let's do it. I won't kick it out unless I know it's perfect. And I think that's the wrong thing to say.
Yeah, rolling out with no bugs is like impossible. That's like,
yeah, 100%, 100%. I completely understand. But look, I don't want to be shone on. This has been 4 years in the making, right? And it's like literally like my baby. So, and I've seen it through from inception of the concept until today where we are. And I want to make sure that people actually experience what I had in mind and what we've been working on. It's like telling Picasso to release his painting at early stage.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we're not far off. Things have come into place. From the functionalities of the game and from the APK, we're good to go. The GPS and all works. I was flying a B-2 bomber the other day, literally just flying it around and bombarding areas in the game. I had one of the heroes and literally just running around with a hero and fighting one of the devs because they had their hero. And now we're playing around with the design aspect, just fixing little tweaks here and there. I'd like to say in the next month or 2 months, but I assure you, if I feel something needs to be tweaked, I'll push the date back, we tweak it, and then we kick it back out. I'm not going to say we're going to stay like this for the next year or 2 years. No, I'm talking about a quarter. We're a quarter away maximum, hopefully.
So before the end of the year, we're hoping.
We're hoping before the end of the year. The TGE aspect as well. So we finished and signed the documents that we need to sign with the third party that does all the AML and KYCs. We had the first audit of the token, and then we're going to have the second audit with Certic, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And all that is being dealt with. What we're working on right now as well in parallel is the community. So the community aspect is very important. And finally, what's going to happen is before the TGE and the beta version, I'm going to be picking out a person or 2 people or a couple of people, you can say, from each continent or each country for them to join the beta or the alpha version per se before we kick out the beta version, just to see how it functions together. And so there's no surprises. And then we'll kick out the beta version shortly after.
Okay. So there's so we have our timeline. You came up with a roadmap, I think, not too long ago, right?
I did, and the idea was to kick out around Q3. We've pushed Q3 to Q4, purely because we're working on. So what happened was, so I received the APK a couple of weeks back, 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back, and everything is there what we wanted. But then I just realized that there's a couple of things that I'd like to tweak. And I'll just give it to you as is, and I'll tell you how what happened. The
Sure.
RPG mode, I didn't like the view. I didn't like the camera view per se, because there's some limitations to if you have the NPB buildings, some limitations on how it feels when you're trying to wander around with a character. So we came up with the idea, seeing that there's different realms that have opened, and the hero comes from a realm itself. Think of him as a titan per se. So the buildings, the MPBs, will be smaller than the actual hero. We're talking about around 20% smaller than the actual hero. So it allows you to see the hero per se. Trees will be twice as big as the hero. It gives it that look and feel, the nice look and feel that we're going for. Tanks and soldiers and NPCs will be smaller than the hero. So similar size to what a real life person would. Sorry?
The tanks will be smaller than the heroes?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're working on we're working on quantity as opposed to power. So you can imagine being attacked by 20 tanks, and then with one whoosh, boom, you knock them out of the field. So yeah, that's what we're working on.
Okay. Good. All right. So on that roadmap, what's the next thing to come on the roadmap?
Next thing to after the beta version, it'll be a numbers game. It'll be a numbers game and working towards the marketplace. What we've done as opposed to other companies is really just fund this from ourselves and push everything that we wanted to push in the pipeline to make sure that the story tells itself, and people fall in love with the game. Touch wood, that is. I hope they do. And yeah.
So obviously, like, people can go in and buy the token. Like, they could choose to invest in the token, or they could just choose to just buy the token for uses in the game. Is there any way to buy the underlying company? Like, would you guys raise money at any point where we could just actually be a shareholder of Chaos on the Chains?
So we've been approached. I pushed it back. And that goes down to well, look. Have you ever seen a token come out, and have you seen how it just drops like crazy?
World Liberty Financial just did that. Yeah, 100%. That is most
tokens. All right.
Yeah,
it's usually because of investors, people that have invested in the company early, and I'm not talking about TGEs. I'm talking about VCs. And I had a conversation with market makers, and they showed it to me. They said, "This is what VCs do." So why am I going to do that to a community that I'm building? Why do I need to be pushed into the corner and be told, look, we're the VC, we've got our money in early, we want to take our money out early as well, and this is how it's going to be done? We're going to lose the gaming factor. Again, we're not building for the blockchain. We're not building for a token. We're building for the entertainment factor. If we have a next COVID, I want people to be playing the game. I built a game for that very reason. Not for next COVID, but the next for the entertainment factor, for people to enjoy. We didn't go down the PC route because everyone's got a mobile. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, the entertainment factor. So for a VC to come along and say XYZ, well, sorry, mate, we've been building since 2022, 2021. So we've already funded everything that we want to fund. We don't need a VC to tell us how to do things. Unless it's, let's just say for some reason, we need to crowdfund where we're not going to be put into the corner, and where a community is not going to get excuse my language, shat on.
Yeah. Okay, so it appears to be no need to raise some funds right now. It's really just because. Okay, good. So that's exciting, because every now and then I'll ask that question and someone will say, like, oh yeah, we're looking to raise money, like, as soon as possible. Like, oh shit, how long can you survive without needing to raise money, or how long can you survive without that? But it seems that you guys are pretty well funded. Any idea on what the minimum investment would be when you guys go to raise money, or is that too far out now?
That's too far out, and we're not even sure it's on the table.
Yeah, might not need to.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
So
I mean, it's something I'm trying to avoid as much as possible. It's something that I don't want to eat broccoli with my pizza.
If anything, I guess you wouldn't even have to if you have, and again, how much of the token will be like in the business development wallet? Is like 10, 20%, less than that, or the majority?
So when you say the business development, you're talking about for everything after the beta version and beyond?
So like when you release the token, like, okay, let's say 50% is for gameplay, and then you have, let's say 5% you want to go to like people that have like blessed them for like working for the company or whatever, or but I mean, you generally want to have a little bit in like the develop, like, hey, this is for business expenses, so we can like we can sell the token for it, or we like,
Mm.
and I'm not even talking about, hey, here's the liquidity pool, let's swap it for ETH. I'm talking about like, hey, let's do an OTC deal where we give this person $20,000 worth of tokens for like $15,000 worth of ETH, and this way it doesn't create sell pressure on the chart. But like, I just wanted percentage wise how much you might have for the business development wallet.
So that's something that's still being studied per se. So even though the token has been audited, what's going to happen is once the token is launched and it's been audited and we know it's safe, the percentages go out left, right, and center to the necessary wallets to ensure that they're safe. One,
Okay.
what those actual numbers are, we're still discussing because
Okay.
it's a matter of how. Go on.
Oh no, I said okay. Yeah, keep going.
Oh, okay. And it's all about how much of a percentage of tokens we want to keep in for one, being rewards for players. Number two, how far are we in creating our own marketplace and assets and so forth, so that once we start selling the assets, we can offer ourselves. Also, we didn't mention this, but there's going to be an NFT as well. So heroes, special heroes are going to be sold. And that's like a B plan. Just in case we find, all right, we need to sort ourselves out in this avenue, kick out the NFT plan as well. But the actual percentages, they're still not set in stone. Until now, it's not set in stone. It goes back to making sure everything makes sense. I can say for the percentage of gaming development will be above 30%.
Okay, that's good.
Bearing in mind, we're not building from scratch. We would have built already, which we have. We finished. We're nearly there in terms of the beta version. So we don't need to start building from scratch per se. But building ourselves to create a market.
So the reason I'm asking so many of these like kind of buying questions is because I want to get some of the token, I want to get some of the company, I want to get, because again, there's not too many people. I mean, everyone like has a token, like everyone has NFT product or whatever, but to have this whole ecosystem where like everything runs in narratives, so you guys might get a bit of the digital collectibles narrative hit when that hits, and you have NFTs rise, and you have your guys that stuff is super scarce, but then you guys have the metaverse narrative, and then you guys have the gaming narrative as well. So it's possible this goes nuts. And what obviously a lot of this is self-funded, so you have various resources, but what and you're probably fairly reserved about like, hey, let's taper expectations for it, but let's say it does go crazy and it becomes like a top 10 crypto gaming thing, and it suddenly you have it's worth like billions of dollars. Let's say like the token is worth a couple $1 billion, if not more. And obviously, if the business development wallet has, let's say, 10% of that's quite a lot of money, not including your own tokens. What does, if someone like, let's say, I'm trying to think of the name of who owns like World of Warcraft, Blizzard. Let's say like Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, like whoever comes in, they want to buy you. I mean, even for like $1 billion, like that's kind of hard to say no to. Do you have like when do you walk away?
What's my selling price?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be very honest with you here. When I started building the game, one aspect that I wanted to do was give a large percentage to charity. So the profit made, give a large percentage to charities, and work it from that perspective. So it's not going to be per se just for the pocket or for cashing out. No, it's going to be as the game develops and does well, hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll be a foundation at the back of it. That foundation actually changing the real world, helping people out and so forth, opening doors for those that need doors opening for. So to come along and try and sell it to Microsoft, if we ever get there, I think that's off the table for corporations like Microsoft and Blizzard and so forth. I would assume. And that's it.
Okay. I have a few charities I could let you know on. So the
100%.
characters you. Oh yeah, well, we can do it now. Like so one will be mine. And I was gonna just have it called Chavez Charity, but ever since I went in and took ownership of the daCat
Yes.
IP.
Congrats. Is that new, yeah?
Yeah. Ever since I was like, okay, I might as well incorporate daCat into everything I'm doing. So it'll be called Chavez daCat or daCat something Harambe Charity.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
There's ladies on Solana who you're actually going to be sharing a one of the crossover comics with. That'll be in daCat number 3, and we'll get into that now. So you have a plethora of characters, like of real people from history. However, I know Tsunami, which is awesome.
Yeah.
How big is your library of personal IP, of the personal characters that you guys own and create, and you can do whatever you want with?
In terms of personal IPs, we haven't gone down that direction fully on yet. And so that's why we focused on the historical characters, so that once things start to take shape even more, and we have the right funds, the right process or timeline of the actual game, we can start to stick in IPs for those characters. That's why, if you've realized, we've halted on publishing some of the new characters after Tsunami. And it was a conversation that you and I had, if you remember. And so now the characters that you see is Nikola Tesla and so forth, right? Historical characters and so forth. So in terms of IPs for the heroes and characters, the main ones of the game, we haven't started that yet. We will, but we feel it's not the right time for us to focus on this aspect, seeing there's so many heroes.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. So to bring it back to ladies on Solana real quick, there's you and Sharby, and Crappy Bird, who we interviewed a couple weeks ago. You are the first 3 that got the best pricing to be part of the main daCat story, and we're aiming for a release for next month, in October, on the VeVe app. So VeVe is the largest digital collectibles platform in the world. Thousands of users per day, and your character is going to be there shoulder to shoulder with Marvel and Disney and Bad Idea Comics and all of these other ones. I think hell yeah. I think there's a greater than 0% chance that this becomes a hit. And well, I mean, it'll definitely sell out on VeVe just because it's me. Like, it'll be really cool. But there's going to be an attempt, and it'll get done, to make an anime by Rashid Al Farouk. He's the owner of SpeedyCon. That's the largest pop culture event in the Middle East. He flies all of the voice actors over every year for his convention, so he knows all the Japanese voice actors. When it does well on VeVe, he'll go in and he'll take some ownership, but he'll help make an anime. And Tsunami is a really fun character. I think he'll be a fan favorite. I think we'll be able to work out a deal for merch. Although you only said I could use him in the comic, so we'll have to work out a deal about if the anime comes out. Well, it'll be fun. I'm
sure it will be. It's exciting. I think there'll be no roadblocks per se. So there shouldn't be any issues. And I mean, we create these characters for the fun aspect of it, right? For people to enjoy. So it wouldn't make sense to block them.
It's been great. So there's in the second book, so right, like in the first one, Tsunami is like, you don't really know what his relationship is with like the bipedals, like the humans, because it's, you know, he's in like this cage, but then he has these like powers, and then suddenly he like escapes. It's like, okay, where did he come from? And we don't actually find out until the second book where he actually comes from. But he's just an agent of chaos in the first one, where he steals something really, really, really valuable, and that's how he can talk. He can understand human language, but he chooses to speak on his own way. It's more efficient for him. And
Tsunami.
Yeah.
Tsunami.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, pretty much. And I think he'll become a fan favorite. So there is a chance that he gets like a drop on VeVe, and we'll do like an actual 3D digital collectible, and we'll go over that, like cross that bridge if that time comes. But Ladies on Solana, that has another charity. Solana Wolfpack and Space Penguins are going to be in daCat number 3. So as you guys, you, Sharby, Crappy Bird, progress through the story, like there'll be a big giant. The first 2 comics are going to be like 60 pages. So I think the third one is probably going to be like 80, because we have to add all those other characters in there, and at the end of each book, it's like a Marvel end credit scene. It's like, hey, we need you to come in. Hey, we're doing this, and it gets really fun. But Tsunami has a really good relationship with Sharby in the second book, like, because Tsunami's really by himself, and this character called B-Ball in the first one, and causing chaos wherever he goes, and then he chooses to like fight for or with the daCats against like these frogs, and we don't really get to see him interact with too many other people. It's mostly him and B-Ball. But in the second one, he interacts with like everyone, because we're all at this big table, and I can't wait for people to see that.
Well, really Randy, I wanted to tell you something, and I think you're gonna love this.
Okay.
So you know how in the game there's different realms which take you to different worlds. Are you catching on with what I'm about to say?
I think so.
Yeah.
Say it first.
Yeah. So imagine we have a realm for all these characters. You can actually interact with them and win them as heroes within the game.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to email you the entire script, and then you have to, well, I could email you some photos. I could just email you most of the comic. Let me go to.
We'll have to work closer with each other when we come to that realm, purely because we need to create the assets, the buildings, the style. We'll need input from the different heroes as well, different characters that you've got going, like Crappy Birds and so forth, and position it that way. So you could be playing the game, and then all of a sudden a realm opens. You go into that realm, and then you see all these characters in that world. And in order for it to come out perfectly, we'll need to work close with you, especially the 3D team, so that they can take some illustrations from you. They'll switch it to 3D assets, and then from the 3D assets as an IE 3D asset, low polys, and then stick it in the game and in the world, so it takes that look and feel and shape.
100%. The one panel I'll show here, Tsunami taking the V-Ball. V-Ball is just like, oh God. What's going on, and then they kind of like sync. They kind of like have this understanding of their consciousnesses. This will be fun. Well, I'll send you a bunch of the photos. Do you have a Chaos on the Chains tattoo?
I don't. I've got no tattoos on my body.
Okay.
So I haven't gone down the route of sticking on a tattoo. I should. I mean, I think if when the game comes out, I stick on a tattoo of the logo. Whether or not my wife will continue loving me, that's a different story. I'm already obsessed with the game as is. I'm not sure she'd want to see it on my body. I'm not sure. We'll have to. Let me try. Let me ask her. I mean, she's got tattoos herself. We'll see how that goes.
I'll get one for an ETH.
Oh yeah, damn. Where though? Where?
I mean, I won't get it on like my neck or anything.
Oh yeah,
but
100%.
I'll get one on my back.
That is mad. You know what? We'll discuss that. We'll talk about that. That is mad. I love it. I love it. Randy, you
Let's
are a
go.
hero, bro.
Damn right.
100%.
Damn right.
100%.
Yeah,
I love that.
I go hard. Like, and so also so I could do it for chaos, or I had this idea, and it was
Oh, so
just an
90.
idea. Yes, and I could do it. I could make like a sleeve of the characters in. So if, but again, like if somebody were to see it, they might just think that it's a random thing, and it's not like the chaos logo. It's just, although they might ask, "Hey, what is that, dude?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's from this game called Chaos on the Chain." So again, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Randy, if they know, they know. If they know, they know.
It's true. They know. They know. But yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah.
On the other end of that,
Would you on that note though?
yeah,
Would you do it live? Get the tattoo done live
I'll
on
get
the
it done
stream.
live. Yeah, 100%.
Damn, I love it, bro. I got ideas going through my head. All right,
All right,
cool.
one ETH. That's the going price. So that'll pay for the yeah.
All right, deal.
We got a deal.
We'll talk. We'll talk about it. We'll talk. There's going to be the finer details. We'll talk about it. But I'm loving it, and it's already there, and I'm drawing a conclusion in my mind for sure. For sure.
All right, let's go. I love this game. This is great. This is good. Yeah, this is fun. This will be fun. So I got to give Tsunami bigger role. I mean, it's already a big role. Dude, it's so cool. I can't wait for people to see him. In the way that he does destruct, like he does so many destructive things, but I feel like everyone will still think he's cute, like because he's adorable, like and he does like the destructive things to bad people, like to the bad thing. So it's I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. Well,
Bro,
anything you want to go over right meow before we talk off camera a bit?
write me out.
Yeah, right meow.
Yeah. Right now, I mean, everything. I think we've covered everything in terms of the game, right? We've covered everything that we needed to cover. What we're working on, and just the love and support, man. We so need the love and support from the community to help us grow as well. I mean, we've been doing this for 4 years, and you know how it is to be in the trenches and build for 4 years without any recognition. We started our social media debut about a year back. And the reason we did that was we wanted to make sure all the functionalities work and so forth. So we're building from the community, but we need that community to build with us as well. So yeah, the follow, the share, the love, the tweet, we appreciate it. And yeah, watch this space. Watch this space.
Hell yeah. Okay, great. This is awesome. I would say everyone say bye-bye to Dashi, but I'm upstairs today, and Dashi is not here, but it's okay. We'll say everyone say bye-bye to Ralphie. Little black
Bye,
pug.
Ralphie.
Bye, Ralphie.
Ralphie.
Right, awesome. We'll end this. We'll hang on here.